Today, Chicago is the third largest city in America and houses just over 2.5 million people. However, Chicago was not always such a thriving city. In the year 1871, a devastating fire occurred. This fire destroyed nearly 18,000 buildings and caused hundreds of thousands of people to become homeless. However, 22 years later, no one would suspect that there had ever been such a horrible fire. The year 1893 was one of Chicago's golden years. It was the year of the World's Columbian Exposition. Holding this fair helped Chicago prove to America that it had recovered from its fire. The first step to creation was finding an architect whose creative vision would amaze all visitors. Daniel Burham was chosen. He, along with his team, centered this 600-acre fair on Renaissance themes. On May 1st, 1893, the fair opened. During the course of 6 months, 27 million people visited this event, and at the time, America's population was only 65 million. An average of 700 visitors from all over the world came daily, bringing with them their unique cultures. One day, a person was able to see both the newly invented Kodak camera and an ancient Viking boat. Chicago, wanting to prove its regained power, even flew in whole villages from places such as Egypt and Dahomey. Never had great American leaders such as Theodore Dreiser, Thomas Edison, Henry Adams, and many more been in the same place at the same time. Housing so many influential people and creations, Chicago became a melting pot. The power of electricity, which had its own building, also helped Chicago establish itself as a leading American city. In this building, among other attractions, there was a theater which held 100 people at a time and would allow viewers to watch electricity in motion. And if a person were not lucky enough to enter the theater, they could see electricity all over the fair, like the lights at night. Another building drew much awe from the crowds. This was the Women's Building. With hundreds of rooms, a person could literally get lost in the history of women. This building helped shed a new light on the movement for the independence of women, which was a growing theme in Chicago. As a visitor walked from one building to another, they could run into a neighbor or even a Samoan villager, an example of the interest the world had on this exposition. And as they walked, they would go through the Midway. This place was an outdoors museum of its own. As a person passed through, they could watch exotic dancers, sample a hamburger, or even ride the first Ferris wheel. If one somehow got bored of the Midway, they could go into one of the white buildings, which housed many new inventions of the time. Some understood, like the stereoscope, and some not. With so many diverse creations and people, Chicago seemed to absorb all of them into its own culture. Eventually, this amazing fair came to an end, and on October 31st, 1893, the fair closed forever. Although people no longer can be amazed at the White City, the lasting impressions it left on Chicago still amaze visitors today.
This is my kind of town. Chicago is my kind of town. Chicago is my kind of people too.